So, what is the basic information you need to know for having ball pythons and before you buy a ball python? And that's what this video is about. Let's get started. Hi, so I'm Matt and this is my snake adventure. Please hit the subscribe button, the bell notification, all of that jazz. Find me on Instagram as well, snake_adventure. From sort of, I normally post on Instagram daily. But let's get started. So, you're thinking about buying a snake. What to look for and what questions to ask, okay? So the questions you want to ask from wherever you get it, if you buy it online or if you go into a shop, is first of all, what does it eat? That's a very important question. So obviously you can buy the right prey for your snake. But also, young snakes tend to start off with mice and then they go on to rats as they get older. But it's always good to know what they eat. Also, when do they eat last? This is just so you know if you've got to wait, how long you've got to wait, if you're expecting poo or any of these sort of things while your snake is getting used to being in its new home at your house. I think it's always good to know how much it weighs, but this is something that you can do when you get it home. Just weigh it. The reason why I say finding out the weight or weighing it when you first get the snake is because you can monitor to make sure it's getting bigger, the weight is going up, because obviously if they're losing weight, it's a sign of potential sign of health issues. So that's always good, something to know. And also, when did it last shed? Now the reason why I ask that is because if it's normally snakes will shed every 4 to 6 weeks. So if it's due a shed, plus it's moving into a new home, that can be quite stressful for the snake. And sometimes that can lead to a bad shed. Even if the humidity is right, even if the temperatures are right, it can lead to a bad shed. So it's just something to know. Not necessarily don't buy the snake, but just be aware that these are obviously issues. If he is due for a shed in the next couple of weeks, or if he is in blue, you might want to just hold off getting the snake until the snake is out of shed. So what to look for when you go to a shop and you say, oh, can I have a look at my ball python? What things to look for? Okay, see if we can get Diesel out for this. Okay, so when you first get a snake, okay, you want to look under the belly. You want to check all over to make sure there's no scale rot. Scale rot is kind of like a brown, this smudge that sort of will be all over the scales. So that's something to look for. Plus, on normals and darker snakes, it's a bit harder to see, but you want to check for mites. Mites are like little black things. They will be mainly around the eyes, around the heat sensors. They'll actually go in the heat sensors, around the mouth. But if they get really bad, they'll sort of actually bury into the skin. So that's obviously something to know about. And also, you want to check the temperature, make sure they're warm enough. You want them just to be warm enough on the skin. Like when you're holding them, you want them to feel warm, because that's what they should be. And then, so I'm just making sure, he's just come out of shed, so I want to make sure that he's okay and he's not gonna, plus it's feeding day. So, crazy time for doing a video. Ain't it, Diesel, huh? And injuries. Any visual injuries, you want to just go over the whole body, make sure there's nothing that there's no injuries to him, there's no like cuts, there's no bite marks, there's nothing that you need to know. And also neurological. So if you buy like the Spider, the Woma, sometimes they have neurological problems. they sort of sidewind and they do have a wobble. Now they're very, very beautiful creatures. However, if they're really, really bad wobble, then that might cause them to struggle to stroke feed. So I'm not saying don't get spiders or wormers, but just, you know, if they are bad, you just have to sort of help with it when it comes to feeding. Not all of them, just some. Let me just put him back in his cage so I can carry on. Just weighed him after his first shed, 268 grams. So he's doing well and he's looking fantastic. I need to sort of just go over and make sure. But yes, so I've done a video for the very, very basic setup that includes a tank, a heat mat, a hide, substrate, and some entertainment stimulation, all for £100. You can find that in the list of videos I've done. But if you want to get a more substantial setup, one that he's going to be able to stay in for a longer time, then I would suggest going like a wooden vivarium with a ceramic heating element. These seem to be better. They hold the humidity better. They're better for keeping the temperatures. All around they're a better thing. And I've done a video on about using a second-hand one, how to clean it properly, how to set it up, everything you need to know. Because why buy new if there's some, you know, I bought my one for, you know, £30. To buy the equivalent brand new was 73 quid. So I saved a massive saving, so I could put that towards buying the lights, the, you know, the probes, the thermostat, and all these sorts of things. So that's something to, you know, watch those two videos. You'll understand sort of what goes into doing. Very, very easy. I do like a step-by-step on the second-hand ones, how I built it, how I designed it. So that's always something good to watch. Now, humidity is quite a large, important thing. Humidity, you want it to be about 50 to 60% constantly. The only time you'll probably want to up that is when you're going, or when the snake is going through a shedding process. Then you kind of want to increase that to 80%. Just because that will help with the shedding, make sure he or she has a decent shed, and all that jazz, because, you know, it's quite stressful for the snake to have stuck shed. It's, you know, all these sorts of things that we need to look out for as a pet owner. I'm looking at my cheat sheet, so, you know, because there's quite a lot of information I want to pass on to you guys. Now, the warmth of your tank, you want the hot end to be between 30 and 32 degrees constantly. Some say lower it in the evening. I don't see why. My snake's very happy at constant 30 to 32 degrees. And in the cool end, you kind of want it to be about 26 to 28 degrees. And, you know, that is what everyone will tell you. They're the temperatures you want to kind of have it at. And I find it easier with a ceramic heater to keep those temperatures. Plus, you also get the air temperature to about, you know, the air temperature warms up as well with a ceramic heater, where a mat just heats up the bottom. So the substrate is warm, but the air around it could be cool. So that's another reason why I would go for a wooden vivarium with a ceramic heater. Now, feeding and suppliers. You're going to find loads of different suppliers online. If you go to your pet stores, you know, Pets at Home, Jollies, to name but a few, they're normally more expensive than if you were to buy them bulk online, because you can buy them in packs of 1s, 5s, 10s. At the end of the day, your snake is going to eat at a young age once every 7 days. So you know full well you're going to need 10 rats. You're going to need 20 rats. So it works out better if you buy them in bulk. They come in a bag, flip them in your freezer, you know. The other half might be a bit funny about it, but, you know, it's a bag of dead rats. I mean, who wouldn't be a bit funny about it? Unless you own a snake. Now, I use a company that seems to be extremely popular with everyone I've asked. I tried to find someone or the companies that were the main ones that people use, and that was Ridgeway, Ridgeway Frozen. You find them on Facebook. This isn't a paid thing. And also, Boss Rat seems to be another one. I haven't used them yet, but I'm going to use them next just to see what they're like. I do believe the delivery charge is more expensive for Boss Rat, but then if the quality is better, then we'll have a look. And what I mean by quality is sometimes when if you buy like rats from pets shops, sometimes the ears have blisters on because they've all been like bitten or they've had mites or whatever else, and the fur's not necessary. So you want to get the best possible rat you can for your snake. In fact, actually, I'm going to put Diesel in his main hide. Just bear with me. Come on then, boy. Come on then. You take the tissue with you? You can take the tissue if you want. I mean, that's up to you. There we go. Alright, I'll leave that in there just because clearly that's what you want. Right, so I love my boy. I mean, I really do love my snake. Now, I've done a video about 6 tips on feeding the snakes, okay, but I'm going to go into a small amount of that. Now, snakes like to hunt, and they also like to strike feed. You'll see on YouTube loads and loads of videos of people getting their snake to strike feed. I've done it myself. It's awesome to see your snake strike, because they are fantastically fast. It's amazing. The first time I did it scared me. There's a video, you can see it. But also for an enrichment point of view, if you let them know the rat's there and then you hide it somewhere, your snake has to go and find it, because that is what they would do in the wild. So it gives that a little bit of enrichment. So every so often, I'll let him know there's a rat around, so it's dinner time, and then I'll hide in one of his logs. Just because that way, you know, it gives him something to do. It's all about enriching, or giving enrichment into the snake's life. Okay. Now, they start off with smaller prey, and as they go bigger, when it comes to prey size, you want to go to roughly the thickest part of your snake's body to the size of the prey. That's how 99% of people will do it. Some will do it as in 10 to 15% of the body's weight. Okay, so that's something to look out for, or something to consider. You need to decide what's best for you. It is better to go for a slightly smaller prey than a bigger prey, because you're less likely for your snake to regurgitate it. And if you have that, then you can, it brings up stomach acid, it can scare them of eating, and you have a lot of issues that can occur because of the bigger prey. So it's always better to go the right size, if not a little bit smaller, just to make sure there's no issues with your snake. Now we're going to go on to snake poo and wee. The reason why I'm talking about this, because there's 2 parts. When a snake will go to the toilet, there's 2 parts of the movement. There's the poo, and it is like a brown log, just like normal animals. But there'll also be a lump of white urate, it's called. And it's almost like solid chewer gum. That's how it looks like. And what that is that's how the snakes remove the nitrogen from its body. It turns it into uric acid, that sets, passes through. Obviously it has urine as well. So if you have your snake and it passes just a lump of urate, you know, you don't think, oh my god, what is this white thing? You'll also come across sometimes there will be fur in the poo, there will be claws and other stuff like that, because you know, it might have just been a little bit too big, so the snake didn't digest it fully, and it will just pass. So that is the basics about poo. Obviously, if you look into it, there's different colours that you need to worry about and stuff like that. So if it's like bright green, there's probably an issue. And the important question is, I know this is what you're all coming to watch for, is can snakes fart? Okay? And the answer is yes. Snakes do fart. It's incredibly loud. And there's actually some snakes out there, I believe it's the coral snake, but don't quote me on that, that actually uses farting as a way of a defensive mechanism. It makes off this loud noise and smell to scare predators away. But yeah, I mean, check on YouTube, there's some videos of snakes farting. It's a lot bigger and louder than you would expect. So yeah, they fart. I mean, it's crazy. And the noise, when you hear them fart, is a lot louder than what you think it's going to be, honestly. Shedding. Snakes shed. Okay, they normally do this between every 4 to 6 weeks. This obviously depends on the animal and stress levels and if the temperatures are right. But normally it's 4 to 6 weeks. Now I say it's to do with like stress, and because if it's too cold, if the humidity is too low, then the snake won't shed, because it's like, this is not the right environment for me to do it. So that's something to consider. That's why when you start seeing the signs, what I'm going to go into, you increase that humidity to make sure it is hot enough, it is humid enough to look after your snake. So what to look out for? What is the process the snake will go through? So first, the snake, all of its body will go like a dull colour and also a little bit darker. Because what's happening is, unlike human skin, where we lose skin constantly, a snake's skin is solid, or it's made of scales, but it's one solid scale almost, you know, one skin. And what will happen is when they've outgrown that, they'll excrete like this protein fatty substance underneath, and that's why it looks duller, because they're slowly pushing it away so it can obviously slide out easily. The best way to describe it, and it's a little bit sort of, then you know, a fresh shed is just like a condom. Okay, it feels like that sort of rubbery texture. You know, it's lubricated. It's all these things when it's fresh. Okay, so that kind of gives you an understanding of how a snake skin works. So the skin will go duller, potentially a little bit darker. The belly will go pink, just like a slight pinkish blush. So that's something to look out for. And then the eyes will go blue. And this is what's going, you know, what people call going into blue. Honestly, the eyes will literally go blue. When you look at them, they're a solid grey blue opaque colour. And normally between 3-4 days after that, that's when the shed will happen. Normally. So keep an eye on that. If you do get a stuck shed, there are ways of helping. There is getting like a pillowcase, spraying the pillowcase, putting the snake inside the pillowcase, tying it up, putting it into the warm side of your vivarium, so under the ceramic light, or you know, and leave it for half an hour, because it will almost steam in there, not steam, but the skin will moisten up in there. Snakes are quite happy to be in there. You know, it's quite a stressful time for them, so there is a potential they will bite. There is a potential they will strike. Don't take it offensively. It's just a stressful situation. The other way of doing it is by getting a tub, and letting your snake soak in there. Make sure there's a lid on there, just so it's just up enough just to submerge the body. But there's obviously, you know, it can raise its head out of the water, and leave it there for 15 minutes. Make sure that water temperature is between 26 to 28 degrees. And just let it soak. And all you have to do is to slowly pass the snake through some kitchen paper towel and stuff like that. And that's kind of the basics you need to know about a snake. There's quite a lot of information in there. We've gone on for now 20 minutes now. I hope this has helped. If you do have any questions, please comment. That's what I'm here for. This is what these videos are for. But the main thing is, enjoy it. Okay? The snake is not here to it's not going to be like, you're not going to play with it every day. This snake is going to be with you for a long time. Now, the average lifespan of a snake is 20 to 30 years. Okay? And this is why I've left this to the last point, because this is quite important. Because if you get a snake, that snake is going to be with you the rest of your life, pretty much. Okay? And they do get between 4 and 5 feet long. Okay? So these are like really important things to think about before you buy a snake. If you buy one, it doesn't matter which snake you buy. You know, like what morph you buy when it comes to raw pythons, they all live that time. A female will be bigger, but they all live between 20 and 30 years. But yeah, that's going to be the end of this video. I know there's a lot of information in there. Please remember to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, thumbs up, comment, do all that jazz. I'm going to do a video soon on humidity. I've got this fandangled humidifier that I got for my birthday. But until then, have a great time. Bye.